Today we went to Lake Superior and I looked for some agate, and I'll show you some of the rocks that I found towards the end of the video. But I also have what I hope will be some helpful tips if you're looking at starting nomad life or if you're just beginning. As you can hear and see, a lot of leaves have fallen, and a lot of the trees are changing already, and it's so pretty. Look at that. How beautiful. Isn't it gorgeous? She's so much calmer today than the other day. Just as majestic and beautiful though. Today I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that I've learned since I've been on the road. And what made me think of this was having to go to the grocery store here and things being so much more expensive. And so that would lead to point number one. If you're planning to go somewhere that is somewhat rural, small town, pretty far from other towns, make sure that you do your research in terms of what they have available there in terms of stores and groceries and things like that, and bring in as much as you can. I'm all for supporting local businesses and such, but not to the detriment of your own budget. So if it's not in your budget to pay at least twice what you would normally pay for your groceries, definitely bring in as much as you can. I definitely recommend keeping some dry goods socked away somewhere in your vehicle so that you have those for emergencies and things. Because sometimes we don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes we don't know if we're going to stay somewhere for an extended period of time on purpose or just because of circumstances. And so just make sure that you have what you need. The second thing is gas. So up here, gas is probably 15 to 20 cents more expensive than it is in the cities. One thing that can help you do the research, and a lot of you may know about this, but I didn't know until my best friend told me, Gas Buddy can tell you what the gas prices are for a specific area, either where you are specifically, or you can put in a zip code or even look at a map and it can tell you what the gas prices are for that area. And so just make sure that you know what the gas prices are where you're going. If you need to stop and fill up before you get to your destination, just to make sure that you have enough gas to get back to a place that it doesn't cost as much. I also highly recommend getting an atlas because sometimes you don't know where you might not have service. And for instance, one time I accidentally closed my maps. Now, the GPS will use offline map mode, but if you accidentally close that, you might be in trouble. A lot of times welcome centers will have free maps for the state or at least the area where you're going. And those can be helpful, but it would be probably a lot more helpful to have an atlas. The alternative to that is taking screenshots of the directions to the place where you're going, just in case. Like if your GPS was working or you accidentally close it like I did, then that's an alternative that you have. I've talked a lot about being flexible and having a flexible mindset. Be flexible in terms of where you're staying. If you are going somewhere that you're going to boondock, like for instance, if it's something that you found on iOverlander and it looks like a great spot, and you're like, this is where I'm going, and you get there and someone is already there. Check before you go. Check the surroundings. Check, if you could go just a little bit further and find a place, or if you could go a few miles down the road, a different direction or whatever, and find a place. Have a backup plan. I made a mistake of traveling the week of the 4th of July, and many of you may know that that was probably not a good idea. I found the place that I was going to go, and it was taken. And so was the next place, and all because this was during the week of the Independence Day. There were no places that I could pay to stay either, so I ended up driving all the way from Yellowstone to a Walmart that was just outside the Wind River Reservation. And so that was also when I accidentally closed my map. That was a hot mess of a day. So these are some things that I'm telling you because if you already know, fantastic. But if you don't, it's good advice. It's good to have all of that in the plans. Another thing, make sure you know the weather where you're going in terms of like a long term, what you can tolerate staying inside your vehicle if you don't have like any kind of like AC to run or anything while you're parked. Make sure that you're going to a spot where you can tolerate the outside temperatures. I have learned that 63 degrees is my sweet spot. That's about what I can tolerate without having all the windows open and all the fans going and everything. But there have been so many times, including being in Tucson when it was 90 degrees and I had no shade because it's a desert. And I was too hot. I thought I might die that day, honestly. And but I made it through. But that's one thing to keep in mind. What's the weather going to be like, and what can you tolerate specifically? If you're just getting started, I want to encourage you to be patient and kind to yourself and have some compassion, because it's not just moving, you are learning a whole new way of living. And doing that is not it's not an easy transition. Change is weird for us, right? Sometimes it can be uncomfortable, sometimes it can be fantastic, but it's still an adjustment. And so have some patience and compassion for yourself. Then lastly, just don't forget to slow down, enjoy the view. Wherever you are now, it's not permanent. And that doesn't matter whether you are in sticks and bricks or if you are on the road. Whatever situation you're in right now is not permanent. You may feel like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here, or I can't wait for this to be over, or whatever. Remember, things in life are very fluid. Things change, things don't last forever. Where I'm staying right now, it's a nice little spot. And I found myself thinking, oh, I can't wait to go, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. we've been here before, and then retrospectively we're like, wow, we didn't know what we had when we were there. So slow down, enjoy the view, just like I'm about to do now. She's so much calmer today than the other day. Just as majestic and beautiful though. Like, I think this might be a tiny chunk of agate. My hands are dirty, obviously, because I've been digging in the rocks and the dirt, and I don't know if this is a little chunk of agate or not. I can't really remember why I thought that, because of the bands, I guess. Anyway, so those two chunks possibly, but the rest of these are just really pretty rocks. That's all I've got for this week. Until next time, peace and bright blessings. Just it. I also highly rural. Why do I have trouble with that word? I don't know. Never mind.